Yeah.
Hey guys, and welcome to our second Q&A of this series. If you've watched our first video, then you'll know that this one is all about van life and van related questions.
And we have even more than last time.
So much, but you guys wanted to know this stuff, so let's get into it.
So we're going to try to keep it fun, fast, but informative, and
here we go.
I'm going to go first. Okay. What would you tell yourself in hindsight when beginning van life? That's a good one.
I think you were saying like how you take a bit to settle into it.
Yes. Okay. So when I moved to Australia the second time, and I lived on a working holiday visa, I went through about a month of being uncomfortable with a new place, not knowing as many people, and just being in a new situation. I felt that kind of the same in the van. It took me about a month to really get in the groove of like waking up in the van every day, making our bed, having to find places to fill our water, be conscious of water. So I guess like what I would say to myself is just, you're going to get through the beginning and you're going to really like it. So just take it all in as you go, that it's a big change at the very beginning. It's a big change. And if you don't like it a lot right away, don't give up on yourself, because
give it a bit of time.
We love it more and more the longer we're doing this.
Yeah. And for me, I would say in hindsight, get the iOverlander app.
Yeah, right away.
It took us three months to figure that out.
Yes.
Do you make friends on the road or people to travel with? To both of those, yes, definitely. That's one of our favourite things about being on the road, is that you constantly are meeting new people, making new friends.
Yeah.
And in terms of people to travel with, a few of the people we've met, we've convoyed with for long periods of time, or short
through
periods.
areas that we weren't as comfortable with going on our own.
Yeah, and that was really good. And, our parents appreciated that kind of thing, like crossing certain borders and stuff, having another car to convoy with. The
cool thing I'd say, especially about van life or any sort of traveling, is that you can be as introverted or as extroverted as you want. If you want to meet people, there are people out there to meet, and if you want to just close your doors and have your alone time, you're more than welcome to do that too.
There you go.
Thank you. Where did you get the adorable deer hooks for your hats? Those were actually picked up as a late addition right before we left Ontario. We went on a camping road trip with some friends over to Waterloo area.
Yeah.
What was it called?
It's okay.
It was a really small town, and unfortunately we don't remember the name.
We went tubing there.
Yeah, it was in Ontario.
But the deer hooks, they were just at some random coffee shop we stopped at on the way, and it was a really cute little coffee shop and best coffee I'd had in Ontario, so I wish I knew the name of it. But sorry, can't help you out more than that. Do you need a Category C driver's license to drive a Sprinter? I think this question came from someone in Europe. I don't think that's the case in Europe, but it's definitely not the case over in the Americas or in Australia.
Yeah.
A Sprinter, because it is a big van, but it's still just considered under your normal driver's license.
Yeah. How did you decide where to travel and what places to visit, and did you prioritize some places you really wanted to go? So we decided on the Americas mainly because my visa in Australia was expiring. Max wanted to come over to the North America and travel and live, and that's when we decided to get his working holiday visa, and that's when we kind of thought, wow, let's actually give it a crack at this van life on a bigger scale, because he had a smaller van in Australia and we loved doing road trips there. Yeah. So that's how we decided on the Americas. As for where to travel, we don't plan too far ahead. We knew we wanted to go south, which is a good route already, and we went west coast first because we had lots of friends. We wanted to see the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, we essentially had a few big places we wanted to see, and then in between we just kind of went with the flow.
We get online and we do some research within a week of where we're going next to start seeing what we want to see in the area.
Yeah. What is the largest expense you didn't expect? I think for that, we actually had done quite a lot of research before leaving in the van, that nothing has totally taken us by surprise.
No.
For me, a little bit, Lee had read on it, but I hadn't, was the, when you do go through road tolls in Mexico, they're actually really quite expensive. And maybe that diesel is a little bit more expensive in these countries, not cheaper, but otherwise...
otherwise we were pretty prepared, and we haven't had any costs that we completely weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Okay. How long in advance did you plan out van life? Well, that I kind of answered already. Basically, when I when my working holiday visa was nearing an end, Max and I started planning what to do next, and because we love taking road trips in the small van he had, I don't even remember how the actual conversation came to be that, okay, yeah, let's actually do this, but...
Yeah, I think it had been something for me that had been kind of growing for a long time. I bought my first van that I put a bed in and a fridge and everything in 2011, and did small trips in it, but never did like a really big one. The longest one was 2 weeks. And yeah, once Lee joined in that, I think we realized how little we actually needed to have such a fulfilling time. And
but back to the question, which is how long in advance, it was probably over a year from the time that we decided to do it.
Serious planning for over a year.
Decided to do it to leaving in the van.
Any major repairs on the road, unexpected costs during travels. I think this is really important in terms of make sure you keep in your budget for when you set off on the road, that even if your van runs relatively perfectly, there's going to be van maintenance as you go that's going to add up, like, you know, doing oil and fuel filter changes and things like that. In terms of major repairs, the only really big one that has happened was in Mexico, and our transmission was struggling a bit. It was kind of jumping a gear, and we were super lucky that we were in Mexico because there was a Sprinter specialist in the town we were in, and they essentially rebuilt the whole transmission, and it worked out to be $275 with 5 of them working on it for 5 hours. So we're lucky it happened where it did, and since then the van's run perfectly.
But other than that, it's just been like small maintenance every month needed. So you can watch our 6-month budget video. We talk about van maintenance there. What are the challenges and advantages of living in the van? This is a great question. There are obviously a lot of added challenges, such as not having a permanent toilet and shower. We did put out a video about the downsides of van life, which we give our top 10 of the challenges essentially. But then as for advantages, like, to us, the advantage is so far way out any of the challenges. Like, an advantage is that you can drive up to an empty beach and park your home and wake up to the sunrise over the ocean and go to bed with the waves crashing right beside your door. The advantage is to be able to see all the places in between the touristy areas, to really be able to decide on a whim where you want to go, to have complete freedom and control over your travels.
And I think that's huge because, like, if you're looking at the advantages of van life as opposed to, say, backpacking, I love backpacking and I've done a lot of it, but one of the problems is generally you'll be in a touristy area, and then even if you get the bus, it generally stops at the next big town or touristy area. Whereas with the van, if you see something on the way, you can stop there, and that's where kind of you often have the most authentic cultural experiences and, you know, the most deserted beaches and things like that. So we love that you can choose to stay somewhere as long as you want or choose to move on. Okay. So where did you do the build? Did you do everything yourself? We were super fortunate enough that Lee's parents, thank you Will and Sharon, put us up in their house and let us use their driveway and the tools that Will had to do the conversion. We did everything ourselves. There was a couple of things that we had help with. The kitchen countertop, one of Lee's good friend's dads, he helped us out with that and did an amazing job. He also helped us out with the mirror. But otherwise, you know, plumbing, electrical, the fan, everything we did on our own. I'm going to tick off another question because I know it's coming as well, is why did you choose to do it yourselves? And that is because it is way cheaper to do it yourselves, plus you do it the design you want. And by that I mean our total cost of the conversion itself, not including the van, was a bit over 10,000 Canadian dollars, but pretty much all of that was just materials and equipment. If we had have then paid someone for labor of actually, and you know, they're a professional for doing it, your cost could pretty much easily double. So
plus, on my point of view, this was our first home together, so yes, it's a van on wheels, but we still looked at it as like designing our first house, and we really had fun designing it to be uniquely us and to make it so that all 3 of us are comfortable in here, and when you make it yourself, you have that ability to do so. How do you wash and iron your clothes during travels? We've never ironed anything in the van, and we very rarely iron outside of the van, so that just wasn't even on our radars. But for washing clothes, there's laundromats everywhere. Down here in Central America, you can actually drop your laundry off at a laundromat, get it all washed for you, folded, and given back for about the same price as it costs in North America to wash your laundry yourself. So that's been nice, because sometimes we can drop it off in the morning, pick it up the next day, and then keep going on with our lives.
And we also, with our cupboards, do have some hanging space, so that
that really helps.
For our nicer clothes, we can hang them up, and that kind of stops them getting too wrinkly.
And like jackets and stuff.
Would you consider doing an in-depth van build guide? This is something I definitely wish I did in hindsight, like I wish I did at the time. We did take quite a few photos, so if there's enough interest out there, I can do like a retrospective build series on maybe the key elements of the van, like the bed, the sink, you know, the plumbing, the things we get asked about the most. So open to doing it, but we'll see how much interest is out there.
Cool. Would you do a van trip through Canada in the winter? Hells no. And some people, it might be for you, but would we do it? No. And I'm saying that because we got caught into the end of the late fall going through the Rocky Mountains. It was -15 driving through Celsius, driving through the Columbia ice fields. And a huge reason we love van life is because we love to be outside more. And when it's that cold, we weren't outside as much as we wanted to be. Therefore, we were always inside, and winter jackets take up a lot of space when you live in a small van, and gloves and hats and
things
boots,
don't dry,
and they don't dry as well. And when you have a dog that gets wet in the snow and comes back in, it's just not optimal for us. We're beach bums. We love the heat.
It's definitely achievable, and we know people that have done it. But
if you do it, like, have an S-bar heater, like have proper heating inside. Make sure your water tanks don't freeze.
So we left Canada essentially. I think the turning point for when we said it's time to go south was we woke up and there was a sheet of ice on the inside of our windscreen, and for us we were like, okay, it's time to get down to beaches. Okay. So, what do you suggest for young people wanting to do the same thing? Well, obviously we're advocates for it. We love the lifestyle and everything. I'd recommend, if you've never done a big trip like that before, maybe hire a camper van for a weekend or something just to see how you like it. Also, a huge thing is don't jump into it without having money behind you. We made a lot of sacrifices and worked really hard to have a base to get into it. I have heard of or met some people that have kind of jumped into it too quickly, and you know, if one thing goes wrong with the van, then they're straight back home and in debt potentially. I think an important thing is get some savings behind you before
and to add to that, like, as a young person, even if it's 10% of the money that you're taking in when you're in high school working and you know you want to travel one day, just put that money away, because you will feel really good about yourself when you're 17, 18 and you're finished high school and you want to go travel and you've worked hard those years leading up and have the money behind you to do so. It would be very rewarding for yourself. Have we run into any adventurous retirees and sprinters on long trips? For the woman asking this question, I think she said she wants her husband to get into this lifestyle as well, and we really advocated for you, and we have met a lot of retirees, and I would go as far as saying we've almost met more retirees than we have people our age.
Yeah, there's a ton. Like,
so
snowbirds.
Not even in sprinters specifically. There are like larger version sprinters that have the built-in washroom, but in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And our best of advice to you is that if you want to give it a try, you and your hubby or any retiree wants to try out van life, Baja California is a great way to start because it's very inexpensive. There was a lot of snowbirds that come down for the full winter. There's great communities. It felt just like California safety-wise to us.
It's a really easy way to get into it.
Yeah, and we've met so many really cool retirees traveling all over the world. And
in saying that, in Australia as well, it's a huge movement. They're called the Grey Nomads. Everyone goes north for the winters, opposite to in the US. And I think it's a great thing to do when you're older. I think it's a great thing to do in general, but definitely, I think you can convince him and get out there.
So I hope you guys take the leap.
Hopefully we see you on the road. So, is there an easy way to find cheap vans? No, there's not an easy way to find cheap vans. The we looked around a lot before we found ours.
Yeah, you need to do a lot of research.
In Canada, we went on like Kijiji and
Auto
Auto Trader. In the US, there's, Craigslist and all the different ones. But I think the key is never lock into one before you go and see it in person.
Yeah.
Sprinters and other vans, a lot of them that are older have rust issues. So go look under the car, look all around it for rust, and
take it to a mechanic.
Do your research. Take it to a mechanic.
And just don't rush your purchase, because it is a big purchase, and we spent a couple months to find our van, and we're really happy.
I think we looked at 6 in person before we
and it
chose
was
this one.
disappointing when you're all excited, the pictures look great, you get there and it's not great. But
don't
you
rush
just don't rush. How did you guys still get along living in such a small small space? Sorry, both of our writing is quite chicken scratch, so we can't read our own writing. How do we still get along? Well, as we said, we have backpacked before moving into the van. We have lived together before moving into the van, and we've really kind of ironed out if we live in good sync with one another, and therefore coming into this tiny space wasn't a huge shock to us, because we've already spent a lot of time together in each other's presence in these kind of circumstances. But I think we just really try to respect one another and respect each other's needs, and sometimes when someone needs space, or if the other person's getting agitated or stressed, we try to back off the other person, instead of, maybe in the past I would have kind of went on the offensive, being like, why are you being moody? But understanding that, feelings arise, and we really just try to respect one another. And I mean, Aki helps keep us all pretty calm and collected, because he reminds us.
I think be aware of each other's moods and feelings. And surprisingly, in saying all that, you'd think we would have been going off searching for alone time a lot more often. But as we said in Lee's leaving video, we've been apart for at most 3 hours in 7.5 months, and I definitely feel like it's made our relationship stronger, if anything. Yeah. And I feel like we've proven that we can do anything if we've gone so well so far. Okay. Now, someone very forward put this question in. We decided to keep it into a degree because
we respect it, and we think it's in people's minds.
And some people would definitely want to know. But so, what is your sex life like in the van? I'm not going to say too much on the topic, other than there definitely is some correlation between the length of time between showering and the level of intimacy in the van.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave it at that pretty much.
Sounds good. Okay. How has the van held up after 7 months? Did we talk about that already? How's the van been running? Yeah, we did mention it just, I think, earlier, saying that we've had maintenance here and there, but overall it's been well. The transmission was the main thing that we had to work on, and it was actually quite cost efficient. So.
But in terms of the actual conversion, if that's also what you mean, we're really happy with how it's held up. We'd never attached things to the van and stuff, and we're really concerned about how it was going to go over bumpy roads in Mexico and everything. And
we kind of thought maybe it all fell apart on us. And
it's held together really well.
The cladding being screwed in with sheet metal screws into the metal has been absolutely flawless. Like, nothing has happened with that.
And it's, I was worried that things would kind of loosen up and become kind of rickety when you're driving, and it hasn't been the case at all.
It's been holding up really well. And we've gone over a lot of really bumpy roads.
And in saying that, I spent a long time when we were converting the van, trying to get rid of every little noise, because I knew it would kind of drive us crazy as we drove.
Yeah.
Can someone 6'4" fit into the van? If you're talking about our van, not standing upright, you can definitely fit in.
In our van.
I know the newer Sprinters from 2007 onwards are a couple of inches taller. Still not. I'm 6'1", and my head kind of just touches, so you still wouldn't quite fit upright. I think if you wanted one, you could stand upright. Your best bet, from my knowledge, would be a Ford Transit, the newest ones. I think their clearance is 6'4", so you'd be just squeezing in there.
Yeah. Or there's lots of other ways you can look into it. It doesn't have to be a van. There's vans with like the pop-up roofs, which allow even higher clearance in a Sprinter. So there's options for you, definitely. How much do we spend on gas per week? We have put up a 6-month budget video.
We'll link you to the 6-month budget video.
In which we best explain the averages of gas, because it really varies on how fast you're traveling and where you're moving. Lately, we haven't been moving very far, so we're not spending very much at all. So check out the 6-month budget video, and that will answer our 6-month average price on gas.
Yeah, that'll give you your best information. What is our favourite place we have both been to? So our favourite place in the van.
Let's do that.
So this is really hard to narrow down because we've been to so many amazing places in the van. I think in terms of the fact that we've been to now Canada, the US, Mexico, Belize, and Guatemala. I'd have to say Mexico. There's a reason we stayed 5 months there. It's really is like a van lifer's paradise. It's cheap. The locals are super friendly.
Yeah, there's beautiful beaches.
Beautiful beaches, great food.
Good weather.
A lot of other van lifers.
It barely ever rained when we were there.
And yes, there's...
And a lot of diversity in the landscape.
Yeah.
If you want to take the time to explore Mexico, you'll be in the mountains, in the jungle, on the ocean. You just have to drive a few hours and you're somewhere new. The desert, it's really cool.
Yep, and there's definitely dangerous parts of Mexico.
Yeah,
and
so just be smart and
be
do your
smart,
research.
look ahead.
And,
we put up a video about that as well.
How you stay safe in Mexico. If you get the chance, would you settle to a life of full-time travel, earning through blogs and etc., and would you live in a mobile home, a van, or something much larger in the future? That's a great question. To us, like, settling for a life of full-time travel is our dream.
That's not really settling.
It's not settling to us. So to us, that would be like, we'd be so excited if that could be the case. And the thing is if we start making money on the road, we're almost able to travel even slower. Therefore, spend more time in places and not have any time constraints to get to the next place, which really makes your travels very authentic, because you can, if you meet a local and they tell you somewhere new to go, you have that time to go there. So yes, we would definitely do that. As for living in a mobile home, I can see us living in a mobile home for a really long time. In the future, if we had more money and had the time and had the energy to build another van, like, I think it'd be amazing if we could afford to have one that had our own shower and toilet one day. But for now, we're really happy with what we have. And
for now, this is more than this is everything we need, and we're super happy with it.
Yeah.
How much did you save?
Okay, so money's a tricky one. Again, Max had more savings before, having come out of a 7-year career as paramedics. Yep. I have always saved a bunch of money, saved money, traveled. So for this trip, after paying for the van conversion, which in total, we both spent about $10,000 between the price of the van and the conversion. Yep. After paying for that, I think I left with about 13,000 Canadian dollars. Yep. It was less than I hoped to have saved at the time, but you know, we were still enjoying Canadian summer. It was Max's first time there. We were still trying to go to cottages and go camping, and therefore we didn't quite save as much as I was hoping. Yeah,
and I had about double that saved.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, did I do the last one?
No, I read it.
Okay. Where does the name Vantacruz come from? Great question. That one is just kind of a play on words for us. Yeah. Santa Cruz, we went through in California. It's a really beachy surf area. We like the van to cruise is like our van just driving along the open road.
We don't have any really deep meaning for it.
It's not deep meaningful. We don't actually have that's our Instagram account name, just so it wasn't at the time, we just didn't name it Max and Lee. Yeah. But we don't have like a deep meaning for our name for our home on wheels. We've never named a house that we've lived in, so I didn't see why we needed.
We just like the name.
Yeah, we just like the name.
Okay. Is it me?
Yep. Sure.
Okay. So what is your diet like on the road? I think for that, our diet has really improved. It was never terrible, like we weren't junk food addicts or anything before we left, but being on the road, and especially being budget conscious on the road, makes you really, you know everything you eat, because we're just buying it together, we're putting in the fridge, we weren't eating out a lot, and I think it's very important that your partner, you're on the same page. Like, we're really lucky in that we both have the same kind of mindset with what we want to eat.
Yeah.
And so because of that, our diet has improved.
Just a point I'd say too is that because we're always traveling, and anybody who has traveled before knows that you need that energy to get out and go explore the next day. So for us, the healthier we eat, the more energy we have, and therefore the more we enjoy our travels.
Yeah.
Do you have AC or heat in the van, and are you hooked up to power? As for power, it's solar power, runoff solar power that connects to batteries that powers everything in the van. We do not have a heater, but we are insulated. Therefore, it helps keep the room temperature temperate inside, and if it's parked in the shade, it's actually cooler in our van than it would be outside if we're parked in the shade.
Thanks to the roof fan.
Thanks to the roof fan and to the insulation.
Yeah.
We don't have air conditioning. It doesn't work in the front of the van. That's the one thing we didn't check when we bought, because we bought it in the middle of winter and it was so cold that we just didn't notice at the time.
Yeah, but we do have some fans that blow on us.
Yeah,
as we
lots
said,
of fans.
the roof fan's key, and
yeah,
it's cooler in here.
Yeah.
In terms of actually having an AC built into the back of your van, the only people I think that can really do that is if you're going to be plugged into shore power all the time, because it would eat up way too much of your batteries way too quickly.
Or you just have like way more solar panels and stuff.
Yeah, you'd need to have your whole roof covered with solar panels.
Yeah.
How are you guys able to get Wi-Fi whilst traveling? That's a good question, and it's really hard. It depends where you are. We actually, phone plans are pretty cheap in Mexico and down here. Like, I'm currently on a phone plan in Guatemala for 15 days, and it's 2 gig, and it was $12.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. But in terms of things like for uploading videos, that's where it gets really hard.
It's really difficult.
It's really hard to find places with good upload speeds.
Even here in Antigua, there's a lot of cafes that have Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is prevalent in most restaurants, but the speed is just very slow, and the upload speed especially is very slow. So we're trying to work on finding better alternatives, because it's really frustrating when you want to go in and spend an hour uploading video, and one day it literally took us 12 hours, and that is getting in the way of just enjoying our time. And 12 hours because we're fighting against Wi-Fi is really hard. So all those digital nomads out there, we feel for you, because it's an extra challenge. Okay. Do you have an app to find places to shower and sleep? Yes, it's called iOverlander. We can't promote it enough. It's
I'm going to put the text up here, because people always ask how to spell it.
Thank you, whoever you are out there that started iOverlander, for free, because you're a legend and it's helped us immensely.
Maybe we should be advocates for iOverlander.
Well, it's free, so you can't. Yeah. We are advocates for iOverlander.
How did you guys get rid of the fear of just doing it? That also, I know I'm saying another really good question. To be honest, we didn't get over the fear of just doing it until we did it.
Yeah.
Even when we left Lee's parents' place and drove across Canada and America, we still weren't even 100% locked into going into Mexico and Central America, because we'd had so many people kind of go, oh, you know, bad things are going to happen or whatever.
And just following the news and just what you hear and see in the media just puts you off.
And it's only once you get to the places that you realize
that you see it for yourself, and you know how you feel inside. And so getting over the fear is just doing it, because
still do your research and everything, but at the end of the day, you've just got to do it. And I guarantee you, there's going to be other people doing it too. Yeah.
What is a good age to start traveling? Well, Max and I both think that as young as you can is a great age to start traveling. Most likely in high school, if you can do an exchange, what's it called, like a live-in exchange, where you and a high school student swap and live in each other's houses. It'd be a great way to start. Otherwise, if not until after high school, I think after high school is a great time. Before university, I mean, I didn't travel a lot before university because I felt nervous to do so, and my parents actually tried to encourage me to do then, but I think it's a great time. At 18, 17, 18 is a great time to start traveling.
I think especially, like, a lot of people that age don't know what they want to do, say, for their career, but kind of feel pressured to go straight into university. I think it is such a good idea to take that year off, you know, defer your university course and spend maybe 6 months working really hard to save up money, and then 6 months traveling. Because that year might just give you a bit of perspective that maybe you realize that university course you first thought wasn't for you, and you want to do something different.
And traveling is invaluable knowledge that you will gain about yourself, about the world, about who you are and what you like to do, and it's a great way to live.
Okay, do you plan to live nomadic lifestyle well into the future, or settle and live off-grid? We've kind of covered this. If we can do it sustainably and find a way of making some money so we can keep going, we'd love to do it well into the future. The kind of off-grid living is definitely something I'm interested in. Lee's kind of interested in. We've got to be a bit closer to the town. I
was gonna say, I could be off-grid if I'm off-grid with an hour in the town, but I'm the big extrovert of
Yeah.
the two of us, and I really enjoy people and
Yeah.
being around people. So
I
I,
think-
wouldn't want to be too far away from people.
Yeah, and I think the off-grid kind of thing I'm interested in, but it'd be a fair way down the line.
Yeah. All right. What are your favorite and easy van meals to make? Definitely our overnight oats in the mornings. That is linked into our day in the life video. Check that out. At the end of the video, we share the recipe. As for other go-to meals, stir fry is always a favorite of ours because it's tons of veggies. We can add rice or noodles and whatever sauce we want.
Yeah, those chickpea salad sandwiches.
Back in Eamon gave us this chickpea sandwich white bean salad recipe for lunch, and we've been making that like all the time since we've left them.
It's really good and really filling.
Yeah, that or like just a sandwich, throw some stuff in between some buns, and it's an easy meal to make.
So #1 tip for newbie van lifers, get the iOverlander app.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Back up. My question. How do you decide on what clothes and toiletries to bring, and tips for packing minimally? That's a great question. When Max and I actually left into the van, because we were packing and we still had extra space, I just kept putting more and more things in, and within the first 3 weeks we dropped a whole bag off to the Salvation Army because we brought too many clothes.
Yeah.
So for packing minimally, I would say first start with your most comfortable items. Get a range of one thing from every sort of activity item, like long pants for hiking, shorts for hiking. Cover all of your activity needs, because then the in-between, like for us when it's warm, we're in bathing suits at the beach, or like I tend to throw on my same go-to robes. And the thing is you'll always be able to pick up clothes on the road, so don't overpack, and just really go with what's comfortable for you more than style, because when you're sitting in a van for 5 hours driving, like you don't want too tight of jeans on.
Yeah, and generally the less you have in the van, the happier you're going to be, because it's going to be a lot less cluttered.
Yeah, and lastly, so for toiletries, we kept everything minimal. I personally love Lush. It's all natural products that keep, they're very small. So like I had a shampoo bar that was this big that lasted us 6.5 months. Takes up no space. It's environmentally friendly, and it's good for your body.
It's not going to spill.
Yeah, so for toiletries, like get some good products that are small and don't bring a lot.
How did your family support you leaving for van life? Well, as we said, Lee's family were really supportive in that they let us stay there.
While we're saving. Building.
Yeah. They let us stay rent-free, which was so nice of them, and
immensely helpful.
Helped us, a ton. My family they're always very supportive of my traveling. I've traveled for a long time, and I think they're kind of just used to it now. But they also, I kind of packed up all my possessions at home, and they let me put it in their shed for storage. So thank you, Dad, and thank you, family.
Yeah. You did that one.
Oh, sorry.
How has your relationship changed for the better or worse living in the van? We kind of have touched on this, but as for the better, I think our communication has improved immensely as well, because if you're in a mood and you have nowhere to separate from them, you kind of just talk it through right away, or if something bothered you, you talk it through right away and you move on, and that's our personalities. We like to talk it out and move on.
You also have no secrets from each other living in such a small space, and I think you get really good at like someone that's been married for a long time, whatever. You get really good at picking up on someone's signals. On their small signals that they there might be something going on. So,
and I truly think that if your relationship is not going to work out, you'll find out very quickly living in a van. So for us, it's like we've grown together, or you'll grow apart, and one way or the other, it'll naturally sort itself out.
Yeah. So, is there anything we would change in the van? We've been asked this question a bit, and we spent a lot of time thinking about how we were going to design the layout of the van. And to be honest, we're really happy with it. I don't think there's really anything I'd change. The only thing that I'd say that we didn't think of until we were in the van and seeing the practical side of things was with having our fridge under the L shape. It's great for space and everything, but one thing I didn't think about is that when we're in bed, if one of us wants to get up earlier in the morning and makes breakfast, you can't
access the fridge when the bed is made. Like you can, but it's you have to push up the cushion and pretty much wake up the other person, so you just make the couch.
You can't access the fridge without waking up the other person.
So it's very much a team build that we have here. So if you're a person that likes your individual time and space, make sure you have like a little bit of living room space separate to your bedroom space if you need that person time.
Yeah.
So tips for staying healthy on the road. We mentioned it already, but I think...
Oh,
buddy.
Wait, so
he sat in his water bowl.
Okay. Sorry, Oki's just trying to jump up to join the thing.
Well, he can lie down. Just his tail is wet. Lie down, buddy.
Oh.
Lie down. Okay.
There you go.
Good boy.
Lie down.
Hello. Lie down.
Even.
So tips for staying healthy on the road, I would say do your grocery shopping every few days because that's when you pick up your freshest food. We don't drink that much. We do socially enjoy a couple beverages here and there, but drinking less helps us get us up early in the morning. Therefore, we live a healthy lifestyle. We walk more. We hike more.
Yeah.
That is a tip for staying healthy is, grocery shop often and don't drink too much.
Yeah. And I think for the drinking too much as well, I feel like drinking too much is always like a snowball because not only is it not good for you, at the time, but the next day you just generally make bad decisions. You know, you don't exercise, you eat the unhealthy food that you crave, and that's so it's kind of a snowball effect.
Yeah.
How much did the van cost? So the van itself, as we said, we researched quite a lot, and we found this one for 11,150 Canadian dollars. And the conversion itself on top of that was just over another $10,000. So it was about 21,000 Canadian all up for the entire thing.
Yeah. Is this the last one?
Yeah, lucky
All right,
last.
last question. How difficult is it to cross borders? Great question. We weren't really aware until we started doing our research beforehand and still had some apprehension. However, crossing into every border thus far has been a breeze. We're really shocked how little they have looked into our van. Even if they've opened the door, they haven't really opened any of the cupboards or actually asked us any questions. The hardest crossing for us so far was Belize, and that's because of Aki, because Belize is very strict in their agricultural department. They want to make sure that he has all of his updated vaccinations and shots.
Yeah.
But again, if it wasn't for Aki, we would have crossed quite quickly.
Yeah.
So far so great, but we're also going to be filling out, putting this information into blog posts with giving more details of what you need for each border crossing and just to have your documents in order, because if you do your research ahead of time, crossing is easy.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with all of that. In terms of them not looking in spaces, if you've seen our van tour, we have a space under our couch that's big enough you could fit 2 people under there.
Yeah, and they never open it. They
Never
probably
once
just don't
been
even know
open.
that it opens.
Yeah,
They've never asked.
They rarely ever actually get inside the van, to be fair. Okay.
So that's all the questions that we had from you guys, van related.
Yeah.
We had a couple duplicates in there, but we hope we answered everything. And again, it was just the questions in the first less than 24 hours. So if we missed your question, we were truly sorry. It's already a really long video. We wanted to make it as short as possible. So if you guys have any further questions, leave them on the comments below and we'll just answer you directly in the comments. So.
And if you stuck around this long, good on you.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us, guys.
Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you like it. And we'll see you in a couple of days.
For Aki's video in a couple of days.
Aki's video.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.